Hello there guys, welcome to one of my videos. Gonna be giving you my starting 11 prediction for our game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So I'm gonna go with David De Gea in goal. De Gea will remain our number one for at least this season. We could sell De Gea in the summer. If we sell him in the summer, I think we can get from between 50 to 60 million pounds. He said that Solskjaer's prepared to sell either De Gea or Dean Henderson. Solskjaer's already warned De Gea that his number one jersey is under threat, and Paul Scholes recently came out and said that De Gea is becoming a real problem. This is his 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant. He has been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. In the last couple of years, De Gea has made calamitous mistakes. Reflecting on that, he's become a liability, but a few years ago, he was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world. But Solskjaer has been advised to give Dean Henderson a run in goal. At right back, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka has impressed me in some games this season where he's got forward well. His crossing's been quite good in some games and he's got into some good positions, and defensively he's been superb. Wan-Bissaka's still got a lot of development in him. You know, this is his second full season at Manchester United. The two centre-halves, I'm going to go with Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire. I think we need to keep Lindelof out of the team because he's too much of a liability. I certainly prefer Bailly to Lindelof, but the element of concern about Bailly is too injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. But Bailly's done well in the games he's played in this season. He intercepts the ball well, he gets forward well, and he can be very effective in the air. Harry Maguire, he obviously didn't play any part against Real Sociedad in the second leg. Harry Maguire has enjoyed good games this season, but he's also enjoyed bad games. Harry Maguire certainly wasn't worth the £80 million that we got him for. He's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment, and he's the second most expensive signing at the club. At left back, I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's really improved. He's getting forward well. He's getting into good positions. He's putting good crosses into the box. He's creating chances for his teammates. And defensively, he's been good. I prefer him to Alex Telles because Shaw gets forward more than Alex Telles. Luke Shaw still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Telles last summer. Shaw's had a good career at Man United, apart from the injuries. He's been at the club now over 6 years. In the midfield, I'm going to go with Fred and Matic. Fred is really improving as a Man United player. He's getting forward well in some games. His passing's getting better and he's breaking up the play well. Fred's been at the club now a few years. He's made over 100 appearances for Man United in all competitions. I've got to say, Fred was an exceptional player during his time in Ukraine with Shakhtar Donetsk. We got him in a deal worth £52 million. Nemanja Matic, he isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances. And he has done well in some games. I've always had strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player, and plus he's ageing up now. Matic has been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. So yeah, if Matic plays this game, he'll be reuniting with his former club, Chelsea. Ahead of them two, I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandez. Fernandez surprisingly played in the game against Sociedad in the second leg. I think Solskjaer should have actually rested him. But Bruno Fernandez said earlier on this season that he denies that he needs a rest because obviously Fernandez wants to help the club win trophies. Bruno Fernandez is our best player and is the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. He has made the difference in the team. Fernandez is a player that can create chances, his passing's good and he can score very, very good goals. Okay, he has scored a lot of goals from penalties. A lot of people call him Fernandez instead of Fernandez. Fernandez has won Player of the Month quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. He did say, by the way, on his 12-month anniversary that he's planning on spending many years at Manchester United. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that we were 3 months into contract talks with Fernandez and Fernandez's current contract expires in 2025. There is an option to extend for a further 12 months. Back in January of last year, we initially paid £47 million for Fernandez, but the overall cost with add-ons is just over £67 million, and he predominantly plays as a number 10. On the left-hand side, I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford. Surprisingly, Marcus Rashford came on against Real Sociedad. Rashford's played a hell of a lot of games for Manchester United, especially under Solskjaer. But he's a very, very good player, is Rashford. When he's playing well, he gets good runs in behind. He creates chances and he scores good goals. When he's not at his best, he seems to get in front of goal and then his decision-making's poor, his passing's poor and his finishing's poor. But keep him out wide on that left because that's where he's more effective. He's much better on the left than he is on the right. We've played Rashford centrally before, but I don't really like him playing centrally. Rashford's been a United player since the age of 7 and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. On the right hand side, I'm going to go with Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood's done very, very well since he broke into our first team squad. Mason Greenwood made his debut back in 2019. He's made 80-odd first-team appearances for Man United and he's been a United player since the age of 7, so he's been part of the club for a long time now. And Greenwood's done well recently, despite scoring. Not so long ago, Mason Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract with Manchester United that keeps him at the club until June 2025. There's also an option to extend for a further 12 months. Ollie's been defending him a lot this season. I didn't really have much of a perception on Greenwood earlier on this season because he was obviously in and out of the team because at one point he had personal issues, at one point he had injury and at one point he had illness. And at the start of this season we're giving that number 11 shirt. And up top I'm going to go with Anthony Martial. I think he'll play in this one. Solskjaer's actually pleased with Anthony Martial's work ethics. He's backed Martial to rediscover his form. Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He has had chances, but he just hasn't converted them. I don't think he's got a long-term future at Man United, so who will be our long-term number 9? Last season, Martial was good, and he was good in his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. He has been at the club now for over 5 years. Don't forget, Ollie was the one that gave him that number 9 shirt. So that's how I think we could line up on Sunday against Chelsea. Now, Solskjaer says that Edison Cavani Scott McTominay and Donny van de Beek are all doubts for this game. Edison Cavani has missed our last 3 games with a muscle injury. It's a shame because Edison Cavani has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. Cavani's hold-up play is very, very good. He creates chances, his movement in and out of the box is good, and he scores good goals. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said not so long ago that Cavani is set for contract extension talks. Cavani said he wants to stay at Man United for another season. So I presume we'll trigger that 1-year extension on his contract. We got Cavani last summer on a free transfer. He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a 2nd year. Scott McTominay, I think he's been out with a knock. Don't think he's going to be available for this game against Chelsea. If he was to be available, then I think he'll be involved. McTominay has enjoyed good games this season. McTominay's best game this season was the 6-2 win against Leeds. He did well in the FA Cup 3rd round against Watford, and he did well in the 9-0 win against Southampton. Just after the first lockdown, Scott McTominay signed a 5-year contract with Man United. And Donny van de Beek, I think he's been out with a muscle injury. Even if he'd have been available, Donny van de Beek, I don't think he'd have played in this game anyway. You know, most of Donny van de Beek's appearances have come from the bench. Surprisingly, he's only started 2 games in the league this season. But he's played nowhere near as much as I expected. But Ollie needs to play him more because he is a good player. You know, Solskjaer promised earlier on this season that Donny van de Beek will get more game time because he did make an admission saying that Van de Beek's unhappy at the club with his lack of game time. You know, Van de Beek can play in 3 different roles. At Ajax, he was predominantly a box-to-box midfielder, but you can put him as the number 10 and you can also put him out wide. Obviously, Paul Pogba will not be involved in this game on Sunday. Solskjaer provided us with an update on Paul Pogba, and he says Paul Pogba is going to be out for a few more weeks. He's got a thigh injury. And yeah, definitely Paul Pogba is a big miss because we do lack quality in that midfield without Paul Pogba. Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Sociedad in the first leg that Paul Pogba is going to be out for the rest of February. Pogba now could be missing the City game in early March. In recent months, Paul Pogba's been playing very, very well. We've been getting the best out of him and he's been enjoying the best period in his Man United career since he rejoined. Earlier on this season, he had an ankle injury and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. We are still hopeful that Pogba will sign a new contract at Man United. If we can't find an adequate replacement for him in the summer, then maybe he will sign a new contract. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with Man United until June 2022. Mino Raiola, his agent, is desperate to get his client out of the football club in the summer. Mino Raiola's been criticised a few times and he doesn't have a good relationship with Man United. And Mino Raiola recently said that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence. And he made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, Mino Raiola, and Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement. But it said earlier on this season that we'd held talks with Paul Pogba over his future. Solskjaer said he's happy and Solskjaer even suggested he could sign a new contract. Back in January, it said Paul Pogba was considering making a U-turn at the club and he contradicted his agent, Mino Raiola, for the second time. But he's had a long-running transfer saga. There's 3 clubs that want him. That's Real Madrid, PSG and Juventus. Apparently, we've revealed our asking price. It's £100 million. We won't get 100 million, but if we sell him in the summer, I think we can get from between 60 to 70 million pounds. We certainly won't recruit the 89 million we paid for him. This is Paul Pogba's 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. Earlier on, I give you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference ahead of this game. Solskjaer came out and said that he thinks the top 4 race will go down to the wire. Top 4 is our aim now, and I can almost assure that we will finish in the top 4. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was asked about Thomas Tuchel's start at Chelsea, and he actually rates Thomas Tuchel. He also provided us with an update on Juan Mata. He said that Juan Mata is going to be out for a couple of weeks. He also defended Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandez during the press conference. It's a big game on Sunday, and it's a must-win game for Manchester United. We've got to start beating the big teams in the Premier League, because we have struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. And people will say you've got to beat the top 6 sides to be genuine title contenders. Now, we drew with Chelsea earlier on this season at Old Trafford, 0-0. Weren't the best of games. Rashford did have some good chances in that one, and as you all know, Edison Cavani nearly scored with his first touch. We did beat Chelsea 3 times out of the 4 times we played them last season. Obviously, we're beating them 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. That was our first win at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League since 2012. We went a long time without winning at Stamford Bridge. We're beating them 2-1 at Stamford Bridge in the EFL Cup, and we're beating them 4-0 at Old Trafford on the opening day of last season. But Chelsea beat us 3-1 in the FA Cup semi-final last season. Chelsea recently had a very, very good win against Atletico Madrid. They're beating them 1-0 in the Champions League. Chelsea are doing very, very well so far under Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel has not yet lost as Chelsea manager. Chelsea appointed Thomas Tuchel in earlier on this season to replace Frank Lampard. Chelsea sacked Frank Lampard after just 18 months in charge. A lot of Chelsea fans disagreed with the decision to sack Frank Lampard. A lot of Chelsea fans said, he should have been given more time. I know Chelsea are known as a sacking club, but I'm surprised they sacked Lampard because, he is a Chelsea legend, isn't he? He endured 13 years as a player for Chelsea, and he's their all-time leading goal scorer with 211 goals. Obviously, before Chelsea, Lampard was managing Derby. Roman Abramovich, the Chelsea owner, he sacked a lot of managers since he bought the club. He bought Chelsea in 2003, and Roman Abramovich is a billionaire. So yeah, Chelsea sacked Lampard earlier on this season. They sacked Maurizio Sarri after just 1 season, despite Sarri winning the Europa League and also getting Chelsea to the League Cup final. Some people said that Sarri should have been given more time. They sacked Antonio Conte despite him winning the Premier League. They sacked Jose Mourinho. Mourinho had 2 spells with Chelsea. won a couple of Premier Leagues, didn't he, with Chelsea, Mourinho. They also sacked Di Matteo, they sacked Gus Higgin, they sacked Rafa Benitez, they sacked Avram Grant, they sacked Scolari, they sacked Villas-Boas. They also sacked Carlo Ancelotti, and Carlo Ancelotti was a very, very good manager for them. So that must be around 10-11 managers have sacked in what, a short period of time. Chelsea obviously won the Champions League. Was it back in 2012? I think it was under Di Matteo. I actually thought it was Villas-Boas, but I think it was under Di Matteo. Chelsea did very, very good recruitment last year. Obviously, they brought the likes of Hakim Ziyech in. They brought Timo Werner in. Timo Werner's done nowhere near as good as a lot of people expected. They brought Kai Havertz in, they brought Ben Chilwell in, they brought Thiago Silva in, they brought Milan Sarr in, and they brought Mendy in. So Chelsea did spend over £200 million last year, and obviously they brought them players in when Frank Lampard was there. Chelsea have got a lot of good young players, you know. They've got Christian Pulisic, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Reece James, Billy Gilmore. You know, they've got Tammy Abraham, you know, they've got quite a few young players. I think probably one of Chelsea's best players is N'Golo Kante. Obviously, he's won the league with Chelsea. He obviously won the league at Leicester when he was there. Azpilicueta, you know, he's quite good. Marco Alonso, he's quite good. Rudiger, he's a very, very good centre-half. Chelsea have obviously got Christensen. They've also got Emerson. There's a few players that I don't rate, though, in the Chelsea team. I don't rate Olivier Giroud. He can play well, but I just don't rate him. I actually thought he was better at Arsenal. I don't rate Jorginho. Chelsea got Jorginho from Napoli. I certainly don't rate Kepa Arrizabalaga. He's a very, very poor goalkeeper. So there you go. Chelsea have loaned a hell of a lot of players out. They must have loaned, is it over 20 players out? In recent years, they let Luiz go. He went to Arsenal. They let Willian go. He went to Arsenal. Chelsea let Eden Hazard go a few years ago. I think Chelsea made a bad mistake by getting rid of Eden Hazard because he was very good for Chelsea. He enjoyed like 7.5 years with Chelsea, Eden Hazard. A few years ago as well, Chelsea did have a transfer ban. And we've done business with Chelsea before, you know, like I said, we got Matic off them in 2017 and we got Juan Mata off them back in 2014. So yeah. Our next game after Chelsea is Crystal Palace, and then after that it's Manchester City, and Manchester City is going to be a very tough game. We've got AC Milan in the Europa League last 16. AC Milan will be a very, very tough game. We won our last league game against Newcastle. We beaten them 3-1. It was a good result, but weren't the best of performances. But it was good to get back to winning ways in the league because prior to the Newcastle game, we'd only won 1 of our last 5 in the Premier League. Solskjaer still thinks we are in this title race because he said it after the 3-1 win against Newcastle. He also said it after the 1-1 draw with West Brom. We're not going to win the league this season. We could win it next season, maybe next couple of seasons. It all depends on how we recruit. We haven't won the Premier League title since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. But I think, you know, Solskjaer has made very, very good progress at Man United. Like I said, we've got a fantastic away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year, and that gives us an advantage going into Sunday's game, our away form. I think we are unbeaten in our last 9 away games in all competitions. We've won more games at home recently, but if you've noticed, all our defeats have come at home this season. We've been far better away from home than we have been at home. You know, Ollie has improved certain players. There's been some games where he's got the best out of the team. In recent months, performances have improved. And we've enjoyed very good periods under Ollie. We've also enjoyed his bad periods as well. You know, the first part of this season was a bad period, and the first part of this season, Solskjaer was lucky not to be sacked. Was part the first part of last season because we enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. You know, Solskjaer's got us to the Europa League last 16. He got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals. Got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. Lost to Man City 2-0. Did well last season in his first full season at the club. Got us qualification for the Champions League. Got us third. Second highest we've finished since Ferguson, and he guided us to 3 semi-finals. And we are second in the Premier League. That's good because no one expected us to be in the position that we're in, reflecting how poor we was at the first part of this season. And Solskjaer's brought some very, very good players in. You know, he spent over £200 million at the club. Obviously, he's brought Dan James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. By the way, Dan James has got an injury. In January of last year, brought Bruno Fernandez in and Odi Nagalo in on loan. And in the summer transfer window of last year, brought Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Palestri and Amad Diallo Traore. But obviously, as yet, Solskjaer's not got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. And Solskjaer has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in, so we've got to credit him for that. But this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career because we do need to make signings. Solskjaer confirmed not so long ago that he has got the backing of the owners to get the players that he wants to recommend in. I'm expecting the board to back him in the summer because so far the board haven't backed him enough, and Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ollie, and even during them bad periods under Ollie, you know, he showed Solskjaer's job was safe because our board have got a soft stance on Ollie. He did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows, but the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years. It was a disappointing January transfer window for us because we only saw one arrival, and that was Amad Diallo Traore, but Solskjaer did say a few times during the January transfer window that he wasn't expecting any signings. Our transfer budget has been revealed, and it's not what a lot of Man United fans expected. A centre-back and a forward are the 2 priorities. You know, this is Ollie's second full season at Man United, and I said, if we can finish in the top 4, top 3 this season and win a trophy, I think that would represent a very good season for Man United. Then that would give us something to build on going on into next season. Like I've said, Solskjaer must win a trophy as Man United manager to avoid the sack, and you know, we haven't won a trophy since 2017, and a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. Simple as that. And the Europa League and the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy. Ole has been Man United manager now for over 2 years, and he's gained managerial experience reflecting how long he's been at the club. We appointed Ole in December 2018. He's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. What?
Charlie, you like them nan kebabs, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to get one.
Alright.
I'm going to order it shortly. I'll buy it. It's got chicken tikka, lamb tikka and
yeah.
somewhere over the night, so
Yeah.
we'll laugh at the bit of beginning.
Yeah, the club decided to give him the job permanently in March 2019. Well, yeah, it's just good that we've seen consistency under Ollie, because we didn't see consistency for a long time. You know, we're not even known as a sacking football club, despite us sacking 3 managers since Ferguson. We sacked David Moyes after 10 months. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. Already given you the reasons why it didn't work out under Mourinho. But we haven't been the same team since Ferguson. And like I've said, no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. Ferguson enjoyed a 27-year tenure and obviously won 30-odd trophies, brought success to the club. We've spent over £1 billion since Ferguson retired, by the way, and we've brought around, 37 players in since Ferguson retired, and mistakes have been made as well since Ferguson retired, and that's one of the main explanations why we have been so inconsistent. So anyway guys, that's everything to update with today. Drop me comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.